The air was cool, and the smell of fresh rain still lingered in the streets. The gym, with its bright neon lights and loud pop music, felt alive, as always. The sound of weights hitting the floor, the fast rhythm of treadmills, and the occasional laughter of people training with friends filled the space with energy. Tonight, though, was a little different. It was past midnight, and the gym was slowly emptying out. Most people had packed up and gone home, but I was still buzzing with excitement. Today was special. I'd finally broken my personal record in deadlifting after months of hard work. I felt unstoppable, like I could take on the world. I threw my sweat towel around my neck and headed to the cardio machines. I put on my headphones, and a fast song started playing. The gym's lights reflected off the huge mirrors on the walls, making my reflection look bigger. I always liked those mirrors. They reminded me that every small step was getting me closer to a better version of myself. I turned on a treadmill and started running. My footsteps matched the beat of the music, and I felt like I could keep going forever. One by one, everyone else left. The night shift trainer, who always had a big smile, grabbed his bag and said, "You sure you're staying late? Don't forget to lock up." I laughed and said, "Don't worry, me and this gym are going to have some fun tonight." He smiled and left. Now it was just me, my music, and a strange quiet that was starting to creep into the gym. It was almost 1 a.m. I took off my headphones to grab some water. The gym was silent now. No more weights, no treadmill hums, just the soft sound of the ceiling fans. I picked up my water bottle and sat on a bench near the mirrors. The neon lights still glowed, but they seemed a bit dimmer. Maybe it was just my imagination. It was late, and I'd been here for a while. As I sat there, something caught my eye. One of the treadmills in the corner looked like it had turned on by itself. The belt was moving, slowly, as if someone was walking on it. But no one was there. I frowned and walked over. When I got close, the treadmill stopped. The screen flickered and went black. It was weird, but I told myself it was probably just a glitch. Machines act up sometimes, right? My heart beat a little faster, but I laughed it off. "You're tired," I told myself. "Time for a break." I put my headphones back on and headed to the bench press. I was only a few sets in when everything went dark. The neon lights, the gym's music, even the fans, all stopped. The gym was swallowed by pitch-black silence. For a moment, all I could hear was my own breathing. Then a faint red glow came from the emergency lights in the corners. The gym was now bathed in an eerie red haze, like a scene from a horror movie. My heart was racing. I tried to stay calm. Power outages happen, especially late at night when the city might be doing repairs. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The white beam cut through the red glow, creating a strange contrast. I headed toward the electrical panel near the entrance. But after a few steps, I heard something. Heavy footsteps, like someone running on a treadmill, but slow and uneven. I froze and listened. The sound was coming from the corner where the treadmill had turned on earlier. I pointed my flashlight there, but saw nothing. Just silent machines and their long shadows on the walls. "Hey, is someone there?" My voice echoed in the quiet gym, but no one answered. The footsteps sounded closer now. I decided to head for the exit. I had the keys in my pocket, and I thought it was time to lock up and leave. But as I moved toward the door, I saw something in the mirror again. This time, it was clearer, a tall shadow with broad shoulders standing right behind me. My heart stopped. I turned around, but there was nothing, just the red glow and silence. Fear was now crawling through me. I hurried to the exit, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the keys. That's when I saw it, wet footprints on the floor, like someone with muddy or soaked shoes had walked through. The prints started in the middle of the gym and led straight to the door. What made my skin crawl was that They began exactly where I'd seen the shadow in the mirror. I could barely breathe. I told myself maybe someone had come in before the power went out and I hadn't noticed. But that didn't make sense. I was the last person in the gym. No one had come in after the trainer left. Still, I tried to stay rational. I locked the door and stepped outside. It was raining again, and the street was empty. No cars, no people, just the glow of streetlights, reflecting in puddles. When I got home, my heart was still pounding. I couldn't stop thinking about the footprints and the shadow. I decided to go back in the morning and check the security cameras. Maybe they'd show something. Maybe it was just a prank or a simple explanation. The next morning, I returned to the gym with a nervous feeling. The morning trainer looked at me and said, "What's wrong? You look like you saw a ghost last night." I tried to laugh, but my voice shook. I told him about the power outage and the weird things I'd seen. He chuckled and said, "This gym's old. People see strange stuff sometimes. Don't worry." But I was worried. I went to the control room and checked the security footage. The main camera, which covered the whole gym, recorded everything until the power went out. I watched as everyone left, and I was alone. Then, just seconds before the blackout, I saw something odd. In the corner of the frame near the treadmills, a faint shadow appeared and vanished. It wasn't clear, and I couldn't tell what it was, just a flicker, then gone. After the power cut, the camera switched to infrared mode. What I saw next made my heart stop. A blurry tall shape moved from the middle of the gym to the exit. It had no details, just a shadow. And when I got to the part with the wet footprints, the footage showed no one there. No one at all. After that night, I never stayed in the gym alone again. But I couldn't stop wondering. I started asking around. One of the old-timers who'd been training there for years told me something. Apparently, the gym was built on the site of an older building. Years ago, on a rainy night, something bad happened there. He didn't know the details, but he said people who stay late sometimes see things, shadows, hear sounds, even find wet footprints. I didn't know if I believed it. But one thing was certain. That night, something was in the gym, something I couldn't explain. Now every time I pass by the gym, I look at those big mirrors and wonder if one day I'll see that shadow again. It was a hot summer in a busy city. A new gym had just opened in a lively neighborhood, and it was the talk of the town. With sleek decor, modern equipment, and energetic trainers, it attracted tons of young people. The vibe was electric, neon lights, upbeat music, and a sense of friendly competition. Everything seemed perfect. Then one day, a man walked into the gym looking sharp and acting friendly. He wore a dark suit that fit him like a glove. His hair was neat, his smile charming, and his eyes full of confidence. When he stepped in, everyone couldn't help but notice him. He had this magnetic energy. He introduced himself to the gym manager, saying he was a former coach of national teams and was now looking for serious students. His stories were packed with details. He talked about winning with teams, traveling the world, and even securing international contracts for his athletes. The manager was impressed and offered him a chance to hold some trial sessions. During his first session, the gym was packed with curious people, eager to see who this guy was. The coach showed up in a fitted workout shirt and pants, and without wasting time, he started talking. His voice was strong and captivating. He said he wanted people who were truly dedicated and ready to change their lives. He shared stories of his past students, a kid from a poor neighborhood who made it to a national team, and a girl who was now winning medals at global events. Everyone was hooked. His words sparked excitement, and a few people signed up for private sessions right away. For the first few weeks, everything felt like a dream. The new coach, now a familiar face, created custom workout plans for his students. Each person felt like their plan was made just for them, as if the coach knew everything about them. One student, a passionate young guy who loved fitness, said the coach even told him what diet worked best for his body type. These little details made everyone trust him. The coach always had a mysterious smile, like he knew something others didn't. Besides workouts, he held group sessions where he talked about mental strength and motivation. He said success wasn't just about the body, it was about the mind. These sessions were full of energy, and people left feeling like they could conquer anything. The coach sometimes mentioned international opportunities, global tournaments, sponsorship deals, and even chances to work with pro teams. This got some people so excited that they paid big money for private sessions. One of his students was a talented young athlete everyone in the gym admired. Tall, fit, and full of drive. The coach seemed to focus on him from the start. In private sessions, he told the guy he had huge potential and could become a global star in a year if he worked with him. The young athlete, now totally devoted, followed every word the coach said. When the coach told him to buy special supplements from an overseas source, he didn't hesitate. He paid and ordered them. A few months passed and things still seemed great, but slowly, strange things started to pop up. One of the older gym members, who wasn't into gossip, mentioned in the locker room that the coach never gave clear details about his past. When someone asked which national team he'd coached, he gave a vague answer and changed the topic. At first, no one took it seriously, but when others noticed, he sometimes said contradictory things. A bad feeling started to grow. Then, the talented young athlete everyone admired stopped showing up at the gym. At first, people thought he might be sick or on a trip, but when days passed with no word, his friends got worried. One of them called the coach to ask if he knew anything. The coach, calm as ever, said the athlete had told him he needed a break and would be back soon, but his tone was oddly cold, like he didn't want to talk about it. The athlete's friends decided to contact his family. When the family came to the gym and started asking questions, they learned he was last seen after a private session with the coach. The family said his behavior had been strange before he vanished. He seemed excited, but also stressed. When they asked what was going on, he'd only said he was preparing for a big opportunity, and they'd understand soon. The athlete's family called the police. When the police started digging, things got weirder. First, they found no record of the coach in any sports organization. Not in this country. Not anywhere. Even the name and details he'd given the gym didn't match any real documents. It was like he'd appeared out of nowhere, with no trace of a past. The police checked the gym's security cameras. The footage showed the coach and the missing athlete leaving the gym together. But something was off. At the same time, a camera at a gas station on the city's outskirts showed the coach there too. How could one person be in two places at once? The gas station footage wasn't clear, but the clothes and build looked exactly like the coach. This discovery made everything more confusing when the police looked deeper into the coach's past. Some gym members shared their suspicions. One said they'd seen him talking to someone in the parking lot, but he stopped when they got close. Another said he'd overheard the coach on a heated phone call, but when he noticed someone watching, he hung up and smiled. The police investigation led to darker places. They found reports from other cities about a coach with similar traits who'd shown up, recruited students, and then disappeared. In one case, a student vanished after a few sessions and was never found. This pattern made the police wonder If they were dealing with a larger network, they found a clue in the coach's belongings. When they searched the apartment he'd rented, they discovered fake documents, multiple passports with different names, and a notebook. The notebook had the names of some gym members, along with codes and numbers that seemed tied to bank accounts or something else. But the strangest find was a map marking several locations in the city. One was an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts. The police went to the warehouse and found things that chilled everyone. Inside were medical equipment, a surgical table, and containers filled with unknown liquids. It looked like a secret lab. There was no sign of the missing athlete, but they found a t-shirt that matched what he'd worn during his last session. Now the whole city was talking about the mysterious coach. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said he wasn't human, maybe a supernatural being who could be in two places at once. Others thought he was just a con man working with a criminal group. But one thing everyone agreed on: no one could explain how he appeared in two places on camera. The police are still searching for the coach, but he always seems one step ahead. Some claim they've seen him in other cities with a new name and a new look. Every time the police get close, he vanishes. The missing athlete still hasn't been found, and his family holds on to hope for any new clue. This story isn't over. Maybe one day the truth about the mysterious coach will come out. Or maybe this is just a piece of a bigger puzzle that'll never be solved. What's clear is that this tale will stick with the people of that gym in that city forever. It's a reminder that sometimes the most charming and trustworthy people hide the darkest secrets. It was a cool, refreshing night, the kind that makes you want to stay up late and soak in every moment. Inside the gym, laughter and upbeat music filled the air. The workout machines moved in a steady rhythm. The big mirrors on the walls reflected energetic people, and a faint smell of sweat and freshness hung around. Tonight, the gym had a special vibe, like everyone was happier than usual. Maybe it was because of a local competition happening that weekend, or maybe it was just one of those nights when joy spreads for no reason. A few people were gathered around the bench press, joking and cheering each other on. One young guy, full of excitement, was loudly talking about breaking his personal record. The others smiled and egged him on. In another corner, a small group by the treadmills was chatting about their new workout plans. Even the front desk worker, usually serious and quiet, was smiling tonight, joking with a member about diets. Everything felt perfect. The neon lights overhead, the warm colors on the walls, and the friendly vibe made the gym feel like a little happy world. No one could have guessed that this night would turn into one of the strangest and scariest nights of their lives. Around 9 o'clock, the gym's front door opened quietly. Most people were busy with their workouts, but a few glanced over. A man walked in. Not too young, not too old. Average height, short hair, wearing plain clothes, a dark t-shirt, jeans, and simple shoes. What made a few people pause was that he didn't have a gym bag, water bottle, or towel. It was like he'd just popped in for a second and would leave soon. Without looking at anyone, the man walked slowly to a corner of the gym. He stood there, hands in his pockets, and started watching. Not like someone looking for an open machine or checking out the place as a newbie. His stare was heavy, focused, like he was studying something or someone. A few people nearby felt uneasy, but since he wasn't doing anything obvious, they didn't pay much attention. In a busy gym like this, odd people show up sometimes, and most folks just let it slide. But soon, his behavior got weirder. He started walking around the gym, but not randomly. It was like he was choosing his path carefully. Whenever someone got up from a machine, especially if they were alone, he'd slowly head that way. Not fast, not rushing, but with a creepy kind of precision. He'd stand by the machine, look around, and sometimes it seemed like he was sniffing the air or searching for a clue. Once, he even touched the handle of a machine, like he was feeling it, then moved on without a word. One member, a young woman who usually worked out alone, was the first to feel something was wrong. She was jogging on a treadmill when she noticed the man standing a few meters away, staring right at her. Not with a smile or normal curiosity, but with an intensity that felt like he was trying to see inside her. She slowed the treadmill, took out her earbuds, and looked around. There were other people nearby, but no one else seemed to notice him. She told herself she was overreacting, but when she glanced again, he was still staring. She decided to get off the treadmill and head to the locker room. As soon as she walked away, the man moved toward the treadmill and stood right where she'd been. He even leaned down to look at the machine's screen, like he was checking the speed or distance she'd run. Watching this from a distance, her heart raced. She hurried to the locker room, but before going in, she looked back. The man was gone. Back in the gym, a few others started noticing his strange behavior. One of the regular bodybuilders, who always kept an eye on things, nudged his friend and whispered, "What's with this guy? Looks like trouble." His friend laughed and said he might just be a confused newbie, but deep down, he felt uneasy too. The man was now lingering near an elliptical machine where another member, a middle-aged guy who always came alone, had just finished. The gym manager, who'd been busy at the front desk, finally noticed people whispering about a stranger. He got up and walked into the gym. The man was still there, now near a rowing machine. The manager called out in a friendly but firm tone, "Excuse me, can I help you?" The man froze for a moment without fully turning his head. It was like he hadn't expected anyone to talk to him. Then, without a word, he started walking toward the exit. His steps weren't fast or slow, but they had a strange confidence. The manager followed a few steps and said again, "Sir, hold on a second." But the man didn't respond. He opened the door and disappeared into the dark night. The manager went back inside and tried to calm everyone down. Probably just someone who came to the wrong place, he told a few members nearby. But he wasn't so sure himself. A weird feeling told him this wasn't a simple mistake. He decided to check the security cameras, but the system was old and only one camera worked properly. The footage of the man was blurry like a shadow, fading into the dark. The next morning, when the manager opened the gym, everything seemed normal. Sunlight poured through the windows and the early members arrived full of energy, but a heavy feeling lingered, like last night's events had left an invisible mark. The manager tried to convince himself it was all a misunderstanding. But then one of the regular members came up, looking worried. "Did you see that guy last night? The one who works out alone? Where'd he go?" That guy was the middle-aged man who'd been on the elliptical, the one the stranger had lingered near. No one had seen him leave the gym. Someone thought he might have left early, since he was always quiet. But when the manager checked the sign-in sheet, there was no record of him signing out. A few hours later, the police showed up. Officers in uniform were asking members questions, and a quiet panic started spreading. The missing man wasn't answering his phone, and he wasn't at home. It was like he'd vanished on the same night the stranger appeared. Days passed, but there was no sign of the missing man. The police checked street cameras around the gym, but there was no footage of the stranger or the missing member. It was like both had melted into the darkness. Rumors spread through the town. Some said the stranger was a serial killer hunting for victims. Others thought it might be a personal vendetta. A few even claimed they'd seen someone like him before in other places, but no one had solid proof. The gym wasn't the same anymore. The joyful, lively vibe was gone. Many stopped coming at night, and some canceled their memberships altogether. Every night before locking up, the manager would walk through the gym, half expecting to see the stranger's shadow. Once, he thought he heard soft footsteps from the locker room, but when he checked, no one was there. To this day, no one knows who the stranger was, why he came, or what he was after. All that's clear is that the night he showed up, he took something with him. Not just a person, but the sense of safety and comfort that made the gym special. Now, whenever the front door opens, everyone instinctively looks over, as if waiting for a shadow from the past to return.